What if you could read anyone instantly, see through their mask, uncover their true motives, and predict their next move before they even make it? Imagine how different your life would be if you had the power to understand people at such a deep level. In politics, in business, even in your closest relationships, this ability could change everything. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of the most controversial thinkers in history, believed that this skill was not just useful, it was essential. To him, the art of power depended on understanding human nature in its rawest form, stripped of illusions and pretenses. He saw people not as they pretend to be, but as they really are when no one is watching. Think about the times you've been surprised by someone's behavior, when a friend betrayed you, when a colleague revealed their true colors, or when a leader you trusted suddenly acted against your expectations. You've probably wondered, how could I not see this coming? You already know how frustrating it feels to be blindsided, to misread someone's intentions. But what if there was a way to prevent that? What if you could sharpen your perception so much that no mask could hide the truth from you? That's exactly where Machiavelli's dark psychological tactics come in. The power to read people instantly isn't about mind games or fortune-telling. It's about observing with precision, noticing the patterns that most ignore, and recognizing the signals hidden in plain sight. You might be surprised at how much people reveal without realizing it, in their contradictions, in their silences, in the way they react under pressure. Machiavelli studied these signs obsessively, and he believed anyone who wanted influence, control, or simply protection from manipulation had to master them. You already know how much is at stake. In a world where trust is fragile and appearances deceive, those who fail to read others remain vulnerable, but those who can see beyond the surface, they hold the keys to power. And it's not just about politics or history, it's about you. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to always anticipate what others are thinking, always one step ahead, always in control of the room? They're not gifted with supernatural powers. They've simply trained themselves to notice what the rest of us overlook. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because these tactics are darker, sharper, and far more effective than the feel-good advice we usually hear about human behavior. Machiavelli never sugar-coated reality. He showed us the brutal truths of how people really think and act. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll uncover 8 of his most powerful strategies, each designed to help you pierce through appearances and read anyone with clarity. So let's step into Machiavelli's world, where perception is power, and survival depends on what you can see that others cannot. The first tactic might be closer to your daily life than you imagine. And as we step deeper into these ideas, I want to pause for a moment and speak directly to you. When we talk about human nature, about masks and hidden motives, it's not just theory, it's personal. You've probably experienced moments where someone's true character shocked you, or where you wished you had seen the signs earlier. If any of this resonates with you, share it in the comments below. Tell me about a time when you misread someone, or when you managed to see through the mask before anyone else. Your story might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear, and it helps us create a space where these lessons become more than just words. They become lived experiences. And if this kind of content speaks to you, if you feel that spark of recognition and want to keep exploring these timeless insights together, take a second to like this video. It's a small action, but it makes a huge difference in letting the platform know that this message matters, that people like you find value in uncovering the deeper truths of psychology and power. Most importantly, consider subscribing to this channel. Every new subscriber strengthens this community, allowing us to keep bringing you content that challenges, inspires, and equips you with tools to navigate a world full of hidden motives. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel, you're joining a circle of people who refuse to settle for illusions and who seek wisdom that truly changes how we see the world. So if this conversation stirs something inside you, let me know in the comments, leave your mark with a like, and subscribe so you don't miss the journey ahead. Because what comes next will take us even deeper into Machiavelli's dark psychological tactics. And the first one is going to hit closer to home than you might expect. Niccolò Machiavelli is often remembered as the ruthless author of The Prince, a man who supposedly taught leaders how to manipulate, betray, and dominate. But if you look closer, you'll see that his real genius wasn't in cruelty for its own sake. It was in his ability to strip away illusions and reveal the truth about human behavior. Machiavelli lived during the turbulence of Renaissance Italy, a time when shifting alliances, betrayals, and sudden downfalls were part of everyday politics. Survival depended not on idealism, but on clarity. He understood that to navigate power, you had to read people with precision. That ability to see beyond appearances wasn't a luxury. It was the difference between influence and obscurity, victory and ruin. Now you might be thinking that this belongs to a distant past, the world of kings, popes, and city-states. But isn't our modern world just as unpredictable, just as full of hidden agendas? In business meetings, social circles, or even private relationships, we constantly face masks people wear to protect their image. Leaders still rise and fall based on perception. Decisions are still shaped by ambition and fear, and reputations can still be destroyed overnight. This is why Machiavelli's insights remain strikingly relevant. They are not relics. They are living tools for anyone who wants to move through life with sharper awareness. He dared to say out loud what many feared to admit. People are guided less by noble intentions than by self-interest, desire, and fear. And if you can recognize these forces in action, you gain the advantage of clarity. Think about the transformation that comes when you finally see the truth hidden behind words and gestures. Suddenly, the conversations you once took at face value reveal their deeper layers. The impact is undeniable. You begin to notice the small cracks in the facade, the hidden calculations behind a smile, the hesitation that betrays a lie. It feels like stepping backstage where the real story unfolds beyond the polished performance. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the more we understand the raw reality of human motives, the more prepared we are to protect ourselves and make stronger decisions. And I'd like to hear from you too. Write in the comments, "This makes sense to me," if you've ever felt that moment when someone's mask finally slipped and the truth was revealed. One of Machiavelli's most striking observations is that people reveal more through their contradictions than through their carefully chosen words. Think about it. Anyone can rehearse a speech, polish their image, or memorize the right phrases to sound convincing. But holding that mask perfectly in place is almost impossible. At some point, small cracks begin to show, and those cracks are where the truth escapes. A leader might talk endlessly about honesty and integrity, yet behind closed doors make decisions that serve only their ambition. A colleague might insist they support teamwork, but their actions consistently undermine others to climb higher. These inconsistencies are not accidents. They are signals of hidden motives struggling to stay out of sight. Machiavelli believed that to understand people, you must learn to spot these contradictions and treat them as windows into the truth. When someone's words and actions don't align, the action almost always speaks louder. The dissonance is a clue that what they want you to believe is different from what they actually want. And here lies the power. While most people take words at face value, those who pay attention to inconsistencies can see through illusions and anticipate what is really happening. In daily life, this is a tool that can transform your relationships and decisions. Pay attention to how people act when no one is watching, or when they think no one is taking notes. Do their choices match their promises? Do they stand firm in values they speak about, or do they shift conveniently when self-interest is at stake? These are the hidden revelations Machiavelli urged us to notice, because once you see them, it becomes impossible to ignore the patterns. Contradictions are uncomfortable for those who try to maintain control, but for the observer, they are gold. They reveal the truth that words cannot conceal. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the next layer exposes the subtle signals people give away without even realizing it, and those signals might change the way you see everyone around you. Machiavelli understood something that modern psychology has only confirmed centuries later. The body often speaks louder than words. While someone may carefully choose what to say, their body language and micro-expressions betray truths they desperately try to hide. A fleeting glance, a tightening of the jaw, a sudden shift in posture. These are not random movements. They are involuntary signals that reveal discomfort, fear, or even hidden intentions. And because they happen so quickly, most people overlook them. But those who train themselves to notice these tiny details can read a person in ways that feel almost supernatural. Think of the last time you felt someone wasn't being fully honest with you. You probably couldn't point to a specific phrase, but something in their expression or tone alerted you. That gut feeling is often your subconscious catching those micro-signals before your rational mind can process them. Machiavelli believed that power is betrayed in these small gestures precisely because they are so hard to control. A speech can be memorized, but a nervous twitch or an involuntary smirk gives the game away. This is why observing people in silence can be more revealing than interrogating them with questions. Watch how their body reacts under pressure, how their eyes move when a sensitive subject arises, or how their hands fidget when they're trying to maintain composure. These details may seem minor, but they are cracks in the mask of self-control. And once you see them, you begin to access the hidden truth of a person's emotions and strategies. Learning to read small gestures is not about paranoia, it's about awareness. It gives you the ability to detect lies, anticipate reactions, and navigate interactions with greater clarity. Machiavelli knew that those who master this skill hold an edge over others who rely only on words. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when pressure enters the picture, the body doesn't just whisper, it shouts, and the truth becomes impossible to hide. Machiavelli believed that the real test of character does not happen in calm waters but in the middle of the storm. Anyone can appear composed, loyal, and consistent when life is comfortable, but apply enough pressure and the mask begins to crumble. Stress is a powerful revealer because it strips away the polished image people want to project, leaving behind raw instincts and true values. Under pressure, someone who claims to be courageous may suddenly retreat, while another who appears timid might rise with unexpected strength. These moments of intensity expose not just behavior, but the very foundations of a person's nature. Imagine a negotiation where the stakes are high. Words may flow smoothly at first, but when deadlines loom or risks increase, voices tighten, hands tremble, and decisions reveal hidden priorities. This is exactly what Machiavelli urged rulers to observe. By pushing people to their limits, whether through sudden challenges, unexpected questions, or difficult circumstances, you force them into a space where authenticity can no longer be disguised. The contradictions you saw earlier now intensify, and the small gestures become louder, painting a picture of who that person truly is when stripped of comfort. This principle goes beyond politics or leadership. It is deeply practical for daily life. Pay attention to how a friend behaves when plans fall apart, how a colleague reacts when criticized, or how a partner responds when resources are scarce. In these pressured moments, you'll see whether their values are genuine or just convenient masks. Stress is not only a destroyer of illusions, it is also a magnifier of truth. For Machiavelli, testing reactions under pressure was not about cruelty, but about clarity. Better to discover someone's real nature before you depend on them than to be betrayed when it matters most. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because silence itself, what people avoid or refuse to say, can be an even more powerful revelation than words spoken under fire. Machiavelli knew that words alone never tell the full story. In fact, what people choose not to say often carries more weight than what they openly declare. Silence, pauses, and strategic omissions act like shadows that reveal the shape of hidden truths. When someone avoids a subject, changes the topic too quickly, or leaves out crucial details, those gaps are not meaningless. They are deliberate. They signal fear, shame, or a strategy designed to protect their real intentions. To Machiavelli, this unspoken language was a treasure because it offered insight into the deeper layers of human motivation. Think about a conversation where someone insists they are being transparent, yet their answers feel incomplete. Perhaps they describe an event in detail, but skip over the part where responsibility lies. Maybe they talk at length about their successes, but remain vague when asked about failures. These silences are not random. They are carefully placed barriers meant to protect their image or shield a vulnerability. And, if you listen closely, those missing pieces tell you more than their rehearsed lines ever could. In daily interactions, training yourself to notice what is not said can transform the way you understand people. When a partner avoids discussing the future, it may reveal hesitation or hidden doubts. When a colleague remains silent during a crucial decision, it may signal disagreement or self-preservation. Even in leadership, a ruler's silence on a specific issue can be as telling as a proclamation. The truth is, avoidance itself is communication. Machiavelli advised rulers to study these omissions because they exposed weaknesses, fears, and hidden agendas. By listening to silence, you begin to uncover the invisible threads guiding someone's actions. The power lies not only in what you hear, but in what you detect between the lines. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the next layer shows us that loyalty itself is rarely what it seems. It is often just another mask shaped by self-interest. Machiavelli was brutally honest about loyalty. He argued that most people are not loyal because of affection, admiration, or love. They are loyal because it serves their interests. As long as the relationship benefits them, they will stand by you. But the moment the balance shifts, when the cost outweighs the reward, their commitment begins to fade. It is a harsh truth, yet one that explains countless betrayals throughout history and in our everyday lives. From shifting political alliances to friendships that dissolve under strain, the pattern is the same. Self-interest is the true foundation of most loyalties. This doesn't mean that every bond is shallow or transactional, but it does remind us to pay attention to the conditions that hold relationships together. Watch how people behave when circumstances change. The colleague who praises you while you hold influence may grow distant once the opportunity to gain from you disappears. The friend who swears eternal support may vanish when standing by your side brings them no advantage. Even in families or close partnerships, self-interest can quietly dictate priorities. Machiavelli urged us to see these patterns clearly, not to become cynical, but to protect ourselves from disappointment. If you measure loyalty only by words, you risk being deceived. Instead, observe how actions shift when personal benefit is no longer present. Ask yourself, what does this person gain by standing with me? What do they lose by walking away? These questions cut through illusions and reveal the true depth of commitment. For Machiavelli, the wise leader, or any wise individual, was one who understood that loyalty tied to benefit is fragile but predictable. By recognizing this, you can manage expectations, form alliances with clarity, and prepare for inevitable changes. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject because the real driving forces behind human behavior, desire and fear, shape decisions far more than declarations of loyalty ever could. Machiavelli believed that if you want to truly understand someone, you must look past their words and focus on the two forces that quietly govern almost every choice they make: desire and fear. These are the hidden levers of human behavior, the invisible currents that pull people in directions they may not even admit to themselves. Desire reveals what someone is chasing, the status they crave, the recognition they long for, the pleasures or security they can't resist. Fear, on the other hand, exposes what they are desperate to avoid, the failure they dread, the humiliation they cannot bear, or the loss they would do anything to prevent. Once you learn to identify these patterns, you can predict how someone will act more accurately than if you relied on logic or promises. Think about how often decisions in business, politics, or personal life are explained as rational strategies, when in reality they are shaped by these deeper forces. A leader may claim to pursue reforms for the greater good, but beneath the surface lies a hunger for legacy and a fear of irrelevance. A colleague might present a plan as practical when it is really designed to protect them from blame or secure a path to personal advancement. Even in everyday relationships, people's choices reveal more about what they secretly crave or secretly fear than about what they logically argue. Machiavelli taught that observing desire and fear allows you to map the invisible architecture of someone's mind. It shows you the triggers that will move them, the lines they will never cross, and the opportunities they cannot resist. More importantly, it reminds you that people rarely act out of pure reason. Emotions and hidden drives almost always take the lead. For those who wish to navigate life with clarity, this insight is a transformation. It changes the way you listen, the way you negotiate, and the way you prepare for the actions of others. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject, because if you truly want to uncover someone's essence, you must look at how they treat those who have nothing to offer in return. Machiavelli understood that the clearest reflection of a person's true nature appears not in how they treat equals or superiors, but in how they behave toward those who hold no power over them. When there is nothing to gain, no advantage to secure, and no threat to fear, the mask tends to slip. In these moments, cruelty or kindness reveals the deepest values that a person carries, often more honestly than any speech or promise. This is why Machiavelli urged rulers to pay close attention to how individuals treated the powerless, the servants, the voiceless, the overlooked, because it exposed the truth that could not be disguised under pressure or ambition. Consider how telling it is when a leader shows respect to those who can offer nothing in return. That choice reveals humility, empathy, and a sense of responsibility that goes beyond self-interest. On the other hand, watch for the individual who displays arrogance, disdain, or abuse toward those beneath them. That cruelty is not an isolated act. It is a signal of how they will eventually treat anyone once they believe the balance of power is in their favor. Machiavelli saw these interactions as rehearsals of character, moments that unveil the hidden framework of a person's values. In daily life, the same principle applies. Notice how a friend treats a waiter, how a manager interacts with employees, or how a partner responds to strangers who cannot elevate their status. These small scenes often speak louder than grand gestures in public. They are the unfiltered moments where authenticity surfaces. For those who wish to see clearly, observing the powerless is not about judgment. It is about revelation. It teaches you whom to trust, whom to avoid, and whom to align with when the stakes are high. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the most powerful revelations often come not from passive observation, but from creating conditions where people expose themselves through the choices they make. Machiavelli believed that the most skilled observers did not just wait for people to reveal themselves, they created the circumstances that forced the truth into the open. To him, power was not only about reading hidden motives, but also about engineering situations where those motives had no choice but to surface. When someone is placed in a carefully designed scenario, their choices act as mirrors, reflecting their true nature more clearly than any confession ever could. It is like setting a stage where every move, every hesitation, every decision strips away the mask and exposes what lies beneath. Think of it as a form of strategic theater. You introduce pressure, temptation, or conflicting incentives, and then watch closely to see which path a person takes. Will they choose loyalty over gain, integrity over ambition, or will they betray their own words when the opportunity feels too irresistible? Machiavelli advised rulers to use this method precisely because it bypassed the need for guesswork. Instead of relying on promises or appearances, you let reality do the work of revealing. In our own lives, this principle is just as useful. You may not be ruling a kingdom, but you can create small tests in daily interactions. Offer someone responsibility without oversight and see whether they act with integrity. Present them with a chance to benefit at another's expense and watch the choice they make. These setups are not about cruelty, they are about clarity. They help you understand who you can trust when the stakes are higher. By manipulating the stage, you take an active role in uncovering truth. You no longer wait for contradictions, silences, or gestures to slip through. You bring the hidden character forward on your own terms. This is the essence of Machiavelli's strategy, turning uncertainty into certainty by forcing the mask and a fall. And now that we've walked through these tactics together, I want to take you even deeper into the heart of what all of this means, the raw, unfiltered power of seeing human nature exactly as it is, without illusion, and how this clarity can transform the way you move through your own journey. Machiavelli's brilliance wasn't about deception alone. It was about clarity, an unflinching ability to see human nature for what it truly is, not for what we hope it might be. He understood that behind the grand speeches and polished appearances, people are driven by contradictions, gestures, silences, self-interest, desire, and fear. By learning to read these signals, you stop living at the mercy of illusions. You stop being surprised when someone's mask slips, because you've already trained yourself to recognize the cracks before they widen. And in a world filled with manipulation, half-truths, and carefully constructed personas, that clarity is more than a skill. It is a form of power. If you can master these tactics, you'll never be blindsided again. You'll walk into a room and sense what others overlook. You'll navigate relationships with stronger judgment, anticipate moves before they happen, and protect yourself from the hidden traps of false loyalty. More importantly, you'll gain the confidence that comes with understanding the deeper patterns of human behavior. This isn't about cynicism, it's about empowerment, about transforming uncertainty into certainty, and moving through life with your eyes fully open. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these tactics do you think is the most powerful? Was it watching for contradictions, studying gestures, or perhaps recognizing how people treat the powerless? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and your perspective adds depth to this community we are building together. Because when we exchange experiences, these lessons stop being abstract ideas and become practical tools we can all use. And if this kind of timeless wisdom resonates with you, make sure to subscribe. That way you'll stay connected as we continue exploring the psychology, philosophy, and strategies of power that can shape not just how you see others, but how you lead your own life. If you've made it all the way to the end, that already tells me something about you. You value depth, clarity, and wisdom that goes beyond the surface. That's exactly what this channel is about. And if you want to keep sharpening your mind, with content like this, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. It means you'll always have a place to return to whenever you're looking for perspective and strategies you can actually use. And since you stayed with me through the whole journey today, I'd love to know you were here. Drop a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end," so I can recognize the ones who walk this path all the way through. Your presence matters, and seeing those words in the comments helps me feel the strength of this community we're building together. If this message spoke to you, give this video a like. It's a simple way to mark the connection we created here, and let me know this kind of content makes an impact. And before you go, there's another video waiting right here that continues this exploration. It dives even deeper into the psychology and philosophy of power. Click and keep going with me there. We're just getting started.